It was 1988 and I was in Sydney with my lovely wife Sarah, and I was actually at a medical conference, an endocrine conference, and we were staying with some dear friends over there in Sydney, and I got a call from my dad, and he told me, much to my shock and horror, he's a physician, a very well-known doctor in Western Australia, and he said, I've got widespread prostate cancer up and down my spine, all through my lungs, and I probably won't meet Christmas. We had a wonderful and very deep and loving relationship. So it was a very sad day. So I'd found out when I got home that he'd actually had an operation to remove the testosterone that the body makes. Prostate cancer is a hormone-dependent cancer, and so it thrives on testosterone, or the male hormone. So he had an operation to remove all testosterone, much like in women with breast cancer, we remove all the estrogen in the body with medications to prevent the stimulation that the estrogen and testosterone produce for these tumours. And so I wasn't aware that he had an operation either, so I was equally upset about that in retrospect. But it was very much more about, if you've got widespread prostate cancer in your spine and your lungs, it looked like cannonballs. When you looked at his chest x-ray, those were the days when it wasn't digital, you actually had hard copy x-rays, and it literally looked like a set of cannonballs, and his spine was affected almost completely by prostate cancer, and prostate cancer tends to go to the lungs and the spine. So I'm thinking weeks, days, and he was well at that time, but with very widespread disease. And it turns out, but only in retrospect, that a very small proportion of prostate cancer is exquisitely sensitive to the removal of testosterone, or male hormone. And it turns out that Dad was in that very small percentage. So this widespread aggressive prostate cancer literally melted away over the next few months. And he died 9 years later, after having about 7 years of very good life before he had recurrent disease, had radiotherapy and some other therapies, and had some pretty awful last few months before he died. But he had many years of wonderfully, completely back to normal. It was stunning, and it was stunning to watch the tumour literally dissolve away. And that's the beauty, that some people with prostate cancer have this incredible journey. And he was back playing bowls and back with the grandkids and back his normal self, and he was a very capable fellow in every way. You might call it fate that your father has a hormone-dependent cancer and I'm a hormone specialist. Yes, I thought it was always a quirk of fate in real terms. But prostate cancer is common, and most people say they don't die of prostate cancer, and that's true for the most part. Unfortunately, my father did, and that was the only thing that he had. He died at 77. He lived a very full and active life, except for the last few months. He had a lot of pain, and he was dealt an enormously good set of cards for prostate cancer in retrospect. Compared to most men with such widespread disease, they would have had a much more rapid downhill course, and it died much earlier. So we were blessed, actually, to be able to have that time with him and be able to make hay while the sun shines. As fate would have it, my wife, Sarah, her father, Bob Payton, who was a well-known vascular surgeon in Perth, fantastic guy, he unfortunately also died of prostate cancer. So you've got the two of us, Sarah and myself, with each of our fathers dying somewhat prematurely of prostate cancer. And as is often the case, people say you don't die of prostate cancer, but both of our fathers has. And so there are implications for our two boys. We've got three wonderful kids, and two of whom are men, and so there is an increased risk. And so I think that by the time they're in their 20s, late 20s, and so by the time they have to even think about this, there should be, as a consequence of great medical research, better preventive therapies, early detection, and some sort of nationwide global screening for prostate cancer in this slightly higher risk group. I think that until someone really close to you has cancer, the implications, it's very difficult to understand what the implications are. And even working as a doctor for many years, and I'm very empathic with my patients and great, very heartfelt feelings for the people that I have the opportunity to meet. Until someone really close to you is affected, it's hard to understand the true emotional impact. And I think the day that my dad told me he had widespread prostate cancer, it just changed everything. I couldn't make, you tend to think your parents are bulletproof and that they're going to live on in this wonderful world forever. You know, you have this sort of basic concept, and obviously that's not going to happen. But for my parents, both of whom died in their 70s and 80s, you know, I'd had many decades of healthy living, wonderful, healthy, hilarious, funny, wonderful, warm years of life, and then suddenly everything changes. And it wouldn't have been nearly so bad if he hadn't had widespread disease. He presented with what we call metastatic prostate cancer, and not just a bit or one lump. He had lumps everywhere. And so that said, weeks, months, that's it, Dad's all over. And I wasn't prepared for that. It was like from left field, a massive, big, fat mallet that just came across and banged you. That was the impact. Very, very strong indeed. Medical research is fundamental for improving the outcome of health for everyone in our local, national and global jurisdictions. And it doesn't happen without tireless, pioneering, innovative research, and it doesn't happen without the community backing us. Backing our passion, our commitment, our keenness to make a difference to the world, and to everyone who supports the Harry Perkins Institute of Medical Research. Just a huge thank you from me and everyone in the Institute, because without you, we can't do what we love doing, we can't change people's health outcomes, we can't make a difference, and we can't change the journey for people with cancer. So a huge thank you from me.